you today, but first I do want to let you know there's an event this weekend. So Sunday, October 6th, it's the Get Out the Vote rally. I'm really excited to be there. I'm going to be there at 4 o'clock. Scott Robbins will also be joining me there at the lake. It's like Lake Bloomington. The details are going to be posted on Facebook. You guys can see all the details there. It's called the Get Out the Vote Rally, and you can get your tickets at McLeanCountyRepublicans.org. I'll be there answering questions for anybody about the election. And I've gotten a lot of questions in my inbox, and some of you have some very short-term memories. Love you all. However, some of you have some very short-term memories, and we're going to get to that here in just a minute. But it's the Get Out the Vote rally. It's at the Davis Lodge, and I'm going to be there at around 4 o'clock. It's in Hudson. You can buy your tickets at McLeanCountyRepublicans.org. This is a really cool place to get the kids out. There's going to be a bounce house. There's going to be games for the kids. There's great food, and there's a beautiful lakeside setting. So I highly recommend you get out the vote with us and show up to Davis Lodge. Beautiful lakeside setting, and I can answer any of your questions. Now, to the short-term memory things. I say this very lovingly. I'm going to play this clip here. This is from 17 years ago. Okay, this is of State Senator Dave Kaler. Okay, so I've seen what goes on in Springfield. I've seen what goes on during legislative session. This guy 17 years ago is saying the same thing he said 17 years ago. Your property taxes are still high. You're still being taxed to death here in the state of Illinois. I think we have the second highest property taxes since he's been in office. Okay, this has been 17 years he made this promise to lower your property taxes. That was 17 years ago. He still hasn't done it. In fact, it's only gotten worse because our property taxes are the highest they've been ever in this state. We are the second highest in the nation. We've got the worst property taxes. So take a listen to this campaign ad. It was 17 years ago. Mind you, I'm 25 years old. So Dave Kaler, I think he's been in office or at least an elected official for the entirety of my whole life. Okay, think about that for a second. If it was working, it'd be working. It's not working. We're going to get to Dave Kaler and a couple of things he's done recently. But a few of you have asked me about Dave Kaler and my thoughts on him and if you guys should elect him. And I'm like, what? Why are you? Let's just roll the clip.
I'm Dave Kaler, and welcome to this YouTube commercial.
Okay, you know it's old. It's 17 years ago. He goes, welcome to this YouTube commercial. You know it's really old when you have to open up with, welcome to this YouTube commercial. This is back when YouTube was kind of starting out. But take a listen.
The reason I'm doing this is that I've been accused of raising taxes time and time again. Well, I want to talk to you about taxes and the truth. I'm accused of raising taxes 15 years ago when I was in the Peoria City Council. And the fact is that I did support the majority of the council in implementing new ways to fund local government. And the truth is that because of those actions, we were able to cut the property tax nearly in half during my time on the council. Well, now the issue is how to better fund our schools, and again, how to reduce our dependence on property taxes for schools. Many local legislators in both parties support this idea, and as your next state senator, I will join that effort. Thank you.
As your next state senator, I will join that effort. Thank you so much. I'm going to lower your property taxes. Question, 17 years ago, were your property taxes lower than they are now? I'm willing to bet they were. This guy has been in office for 17 years, made you a promise to lower your property taxes. This was 17 years ago, folks. 17 years. And you're paying the highest property taxes in all of the nation. The second highest. So when he says he's going to lower your property taxes, don't believe him, because he hasn't done it for the last 17 years. Another thing about Dave Kaler when it comes to taxes, I'm sorry to rip on him this morning, but I was, doing my show prep and just kind of researching, and I keep getting fed ads, YouTube ads. And I just was like, gosh, this guy's spending a lot on YouTube ads, and he's talking about cutting your taxes. And all I can start thinking about is, the McLean County SIRA increase of taxes. You guys remember this story. I'll get into it in just a second. But then I start looking and digging back through all of his commercials that he's ever done. And 17 years ago, he promised that you were going to have lower property taxes. And I don't know about you, but I think you pay the highest property taxes that you ever have in your lifetime. So Senate Bill 684 is where I want to go to today. And some of you have short-term memories. I just want to remind you that State Senator Dave Caillery passed this bill, and this bill granted the local airport authority the ability to raise property taxes, or the property tax base, expand the property tax base, therefore raising taxes on some people. And they did this without referendum. They got permission through the state and through a legislator. They were able to obtain this legislator to go and lobby for them, essentially in Springfield, and get it to where where they could expand the tax base, thereby increasing taxes on people in McLean County. Okay, the extended area 684, this bill extended the area to be taxed from Bloomington Normal all throughout McLean County. This was a huge story. Lexington Mayor Spencer Johnson said, this, we're already taxed enough. He said the tax increase itself could make it very difficult for small towns throughout the county to raise local taxes, raise taxes for their local needs. Okay, so it's death by 1,000 cuts. So this mayor is saying, hey, for instance, if our library board, if they feel that they need to get a tax increase to make ends meet, the voters are going to vote that down because they've already seen their taxes raised enough. So people keep being taxed, and it's death by 1,000 cuts. The voters are going to vote that down if the local library there in their community in rural McLean County, towns outside of Bloomington Normal. So, when he says he's going to lower your taxes, he's not for that. He's not for lowering your property taxes. The bill granted the local airport authority the ability to increase its property tax base and double its property tax rate without a referendum. Okay, without a referendum, that's key here. Okay, he did this without, he subverted the current law that we already had on the books, where that kind of thing, you had taxation without representation. That's what that is. We didn't ask you, the people who live in these communities, these rural communities, if you were okay with this tax base being expanded. So some of you have very short-term memories. That also brings me to Sharon Chung, another candidate running this election. And I've done my homework, folks. I've done my homework. I know what these people do in Springfield, and I know what they've done as your local legislators and as your local elected officials on the county board. Sharon Chung was a county board member, and some of you have some very short-term memories. They're going to sit there, say that they're pro-law enforcement, that they're pro-cutting taxes. That's not true. It's just not true. And some of you have forgotten that Sharon Chung, I'm driving around Bloomington, I see all these Sharon Chung signs, and I'm thinking to myself, do these people, they can't possibly know. I'd imagine that they're leftists and that they're leftists on the social issues. Sharon Chung is not a left-wing. She's not somebody that I think that left-wingers would like, especially considering this instance. Okay, so back in, what was it? Let me look at the date on this thing. 2022. Talked with Sheriff John Sandage. I remember walking through the McLean County Jail because Sharon Chung refused to go to the jail. So I went there and I walked through to see if the inmates were being mistreated. There was accusations that the conditions were dangerous inside of the McLean County Jail, which couldn't have been further from the truth. I walked in, got a very expansive tour, and at the time, Sharon Chung, she was contacting either inmates' families or inmates themselves. But at the time, I was talking with the sheriff, John Sandage, and he said she's putting false information in inmates' heads. She's creating tension in the facility. when you have inmates that are being told by a county board member, because she was then the county board member, that what we're doing is illegal to them, they're going to rebel. And that puts correctional officers and the inmates in dangerous positions. Okay, so this happened in 2022. She was assisting inmates. Sandage accused Sharon Chung of assisting an inmate in filing a lawsuit against McLean County. This is the entity that she's supposed to represent that is at the expense of the taxpayers. And get this, further complicating matters, according to Sandage at the time in 2022, that inmate that she was assisting in this lawsuit had white supremacist tattoos. Okay, so I don't know about you. If you have a Sharon Chung yard sign and you are an uber leftist, you are all about the DEI, you are all about trans and kids, you are all about, equity, inclusion, even reparations, you're pro reparations, okay? Whatever it is, whatever socialist leftist ideology you have, Sharon Chung does not have it. Okay, so even you far leftists out there who are putting up Sharon Chung signs in your yard, what's wrong with you? Okay, here you have the sheriff accusing the then county board member, Sharon Chung, of providing assistance to an inmate who has white supremacist tattoos. At the time in 2022, a quote from Sheriff John Sandage, "I don't know who initiated contact, but I find it disgusting that you're going to bat for somebody who has these types of beliefs." There's another inmate who instigated a fight with an inmate who was practicing their Ramadan prayers. So this is very interesting, considering Chung, she's very outspoken when she goes door to door, that she's pro, Asian, she's pro woman, she's pro minority. I think that couldn't be further from the truth, considering she's assisting inmates that have white supremacist tattoos. Now, I mean, at the time, they were doing everything they could to disparage John Sandage and his accusations. And, he said that he obtained a lot of emails through FOIA requests that, backed up her correspondence with at least inmates' families. Okay, so there's a record of some kind of her reaching out to inmates, at least their families, and corresponding through them. So, look, I think some of you have some very short-term memories, even the far leftists listening. Is that somebody you want serving you at a state house level? I don't think so. Somebody who doesn't mind assisting somebody with white supremacist tattoos. I mean, come on. Some of you have very short-term memories. I wanted to bring that up this morning. I do have to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. I don't even know if I got to my name. I was like, I saw these commercials and I just started losing my marbles. I was like, you gotta be kidding me with all of these commercials. And I go, 17 years ago, Dave Kaler was promising you to lower property taxes. And I don't know about you. I think they're 10 times worse than they were 17 years ago. All right, when I come back, I do want to talk about some LGBTQ activists. They're claiming their space in this gayborhood. Yes, quote, gayborhood. They're calling it their gayborhood, and they want the space as a safe space for them. But the Philadelphia 76ers, they want to build a stadium. So they're protesting this new stadium that's going to go up. And they said, hey, this space that you want the stadium on is actually a gayborhood. And we want it to remain our gayborhood, and you can't come in and build this stadium. So exclusive. They don't even want. These people claim to be inclusive. They're very exclusive. So I also want to get to Aldi forcing to pay. They were forced to pay this Muslim employee after a sexual assault conviction. I'll get to that. And plus, this congresswoman, she starts pandering to Generation Z, Gen Z. And she has all these like weird hip, they're not very hip slogans, and she just is so cringy. She makes your skin crawl. I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat. Hey, good morning. Thanks so much for tuning in each and every single morning. Go ahead, smash that like button. We've got so much to get to today. I do want to talk about Senator Dave Kaler and Sharon Chung. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you. This is kind of crucial. As I start to see Sharon Chung signs and everything, I begin to wonder if people remember the coverage that we provided a couple of years ago. I shared with you a 17-year-old clip. You know it's old when he starts out the commercial with, "Oh, welcome to my YouTube commercial," which is kind of funny. But 17 years old, he was, talking about lowering your property taxes. That's State Senator Dave Kaler, and he's asking for your vote again this election season. And I just think a lot of you have short-term memories, and I wanted to jog your memory here. This is crucial. We've got State Representative Sharon Chung. She's the incumbent representative. She won, I believe, last year, the 91st against Scott Preston. Now she was a sitting county board member for McLean County, and at that time, she was accused by the then sheriff who runs the jail. You'd think he would know a thing or two about the jail, okay, and how operations work, communications with the inmates, things like that. He accused Sharon Chung of assisting an inmate in filing a lawsuit against McLean County. This is the entity she was elected to represent, okay, McLean County. So on behalf of this inmate, one inmate, she decided to file law or help this inmate file a lawsuit at the expense of all the taxpayers in McLean County. Okay. Further complicating matters is that according to Sandage, this inmate was had white supremacist tattoos. Okay, now I don't know about you, but not too many people get white supremacist tattoos unless they're a white supremacist. Okay, so she was accused of assisting a white supremacist. So I scratch my head when I'm driving down the road. I see the gay pride flags right next to the Sharon Chung flags or Sharon Chung signs, whatever. And I scratch my head because I'm thinking to myself, these people can't know. These LGBTers, a lot of these social activists, right? They're pro Sharon Chung, but do they even know that she did this? He accused her, and of course, these people operate very effectively. But there was FOIA requests obtained. He received emails through a Freedom of Information Act request that confirmed that she was in contact with at least inmates' family members. And look, this is very dangerous. I'm sure you have watched prison shows, and from every correctional officer I've ever spoken to, they tell me that the movies aren't too far off. They get uh, piss thrown at them, they get poop thrown at them, they're treated very poorly. The inmates are abusive. And even some of the correctional officers are abusive. These are places of danger, okay? And it's very crucial that there isn't tension in the facility. Otherwise, things could get out of hand very quickly. I went to the facility. There were accusations that there were unsafe conditions inside of the McLean County Jail. Now, people are going to say, Kat, they didn't show you the bad parts. I mean, but I think I got a pretty all-inclusive type tour. I saw a lot of things. Now, I will say that the intake center where they process the inmates wasn't like amazing because that was an older part of the McLean County Jail, like as far as the facilities look. But it wasn't inhumane or anything. Every area was air conditioned. In fact, some of the rooms when I walked in to the McLean County Jail, they looked like my classrooms at Illinois State University. Like there were TVs, there were these beautiful like tables, and it was like state of the art facility. It looked amazing. So I don't know what anybody's talking about unsafe conditions. But yeah, some of you have short-term memories. I wanted to make sure that we just remember who these people are that are currently in Springfield. Hey, good morning. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every single day. Yes, Monday through Friday, it's a daily show, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. My name's Conservative Cat. I so do appreciate you being here and texting in 309-451-9299. If you have questions about the upcoming election, I will be at the Davis Lodge, 4 o'clock on Sunday, October 6th. There's going to be a beautiful lakeside setting, barbecue. You can get your tickets to eat at McLeanCountyRepublicans.org. I'll be there fielding your questions. If you have any questions, my inbox every year when it comes to election time, it gets full. So this is the time to reach out to me and ask me any kind of questions. This morning, I opened up the show and I didn't even anticipate opening up the show with Dave Kaler and Sharon Chung. But I'm just being inundated with ads, and I don't even live in the district. So anymore, I don't live in their district. I'm outside of that district. My representatives are not Sharon Chung, State Representative Bill Howder, and then I also have State Senator Sally Turner. Okay, so I'm in their district, which is just outside of McLean County. However, they were my representatives a couple of years ago, or a year or so ago. She was my McLean County board member, Sharon Chung was, and then Dave Kaler has been a sitting state senator for years. For years, I played a clip for you. 17 years ago, he was vowing to lower your property taxes, and obviously that hasn't happened. He's probably been a senator since I've been alive. And that's what bothers me the most about these people is that they get into politics and then they're career politicians and they do nothing. They say they're going to do all kinds of great things and then they actually do nothing. And we have 17 years of a record to look at. Nobody bothers to look at it and they just vote for the same guy over and over and over again because he shows up at the, the Labor Day parade, and he paraded around with a bunch of union members. Okay, that's not in passed out candy. That's not a reason to vote for the guy. Okay, look at his policy. Look at his record. He's got 17 plus years of a record to look at. I just told you about the McLean County rule. Mayors, the Lexington mayor, he said, look, now in our community, in Lexington, this is outside of Bloomington Normal. He said, we won't be able to raise taxes on people for our local needs. So if the library board, if they feel like they need something and they need like a modest tax increase, I'm not against. Okay, I'm against taxes. I would love to just cut all of the government. Fuera, get rid of it. But a modest tax increase for something that actually serves the community. And I don't know, you tell me, has the government ever helped you? Anytime you've ever interacted with the government, whether that be at the DMV, the clerk's office, or, any government office, have they ever helped you? It's typically always slow. And it's never really of much help. I have to do a bunch of research online before I even get to the facility. And I've got to try to, it's a fight. Okay. There's a few industries that I really want to avoid at all costs. That's airlines, which is highly government subsidized industry. The car industry, I hate buying new cars. Can't stand it because it's also highly subsidized. Inflation Reduction Act, I think I've told you several times, a bunch of EV tax credits went out so folks could drive electric vehicles. I hate buying new cars. It's always a terrible experience. But then I also can't stand just going to the DMV or any government office ever. It's always just a nightmare, or trying to get a license of some kind. It's but hey, some government offices, some resources can be helpful. Perhaps you're in that situation and you're like, actually, government actually helped me. Kat, I don't know when, but and you are of the minority. No, I'm just kidding. Sometimes government might help. I'm not anti-government. I might, sound like it sometimes, but they do serve a purpose. I do think we need rules, regulations, public safety, infrastructure, roads. There's a lot of things that government is there to do. They just don't do it a lot of the time. And there's a lot of government bloat, and a lot of people are just sitting around twirling their thumbs, collecting 100,000 plus salaries, right? But in this case, Lexington, let me get back to this point. If the library board said, hey, we need a modest tax increase, there was a water main break, we need to replace that for our local library. They won't be able to do it now because of Dave Kaler, because that state senator worked with, obviously, an airport authority to try to expand this tax base, which is all fine and dandy. If you need more money for the airport, then you got to bring it to the voters via referendum. But they subverted really the law, the existing law that said you have to do taxation with representation. You have to ask the voters to expand the tax base for this Bloomington Normal Airport Authority. And they subverted that. Dave Kaler subverted that, went around and made it to where they expanded that tax base and therefore raised taxes on people in rural surrounding communities in McLean County. So, that's the record. Okay. I don't care if you stand on the left, right. If you're pro taxes, okay, and if you're pro more government, if you're pro raising taxes, even if you're pro that, which is just wild to me that anybody would be pro raising taxes, but even if you are, you don't do it this way, subverting the law that makes sure that you go to the voters or you go to the taxpayers and ask. Okay. I mean, even if you're like, yes, I think people should pay as much money to the government as possible. I love the government. They have done everything for me. And I want more money to the government. Okay. Ask. Make your case to the taxpayer and ask. That's what this bill did. It just took away the ability to ask. And this wasn't just the only one. There was several others like this with District 87. They removed a referendum, it going to referendum for obtaining a building. It's the old State Farm building for preschool, I think it was. So there's several things in Dave Kaler's record you can point to and say, hey, I don't agree with that. I think everybody can agree, hey, if you want to raise taxes, you got to ask. I think everybody should agree with that. And if you don't, you're a commie. And I guess you can, you would, walk over broken glass to go vote for this guy. Okay. So I wanted to bring that up. I really wasn't anticipating on bringing that up, but there's just so much misinformation out there with these political ads. And I feel obligated to try to bring you the truth and to point to the record. So let me get to this story here in just a little bit. I know that I said that I was going to get to it in this segment, but I didn't. So we're going to get to it, I swear, the next segment. Gayborhood. It's a neighborhood, but it's gay. I don't know. They're protesting this new stadium. It's a Philadelphia 76ers stadium. The LGBTQ activists, the drag queens, I don't know why, but they're claiming this space as their own. And they're protesting the new stadium, which I'd probably be all right with their cause. Like, obviously, I'm pro going out there, speaking your mind, First Amendment right, all that great thing. But, I don't understand this whole exclusive, we want this space to be our own. And it's hard for me to take you seriously when you're wearing a Disney princess dress and you're a man. I think that they would benefit by having activists who were serious activists and weren't out there, playing dress up. I would be more sympathetic to their cause if they didn't have a bunch of drag queens out there screaming, "This is our gayborhood." I can't take you seriously when you're screaming, "This is my gayborhood," and you're in a Disney princess dress. All right, I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat Cities 92.9. Find me on YouTube and Facebook. Subscribe to my channel. John, I'm not putting on a mask. Woohoo! Good morning. Hey, find me on YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That'll definitely help us out, folks. And good morning. Let's get into this story. This is LGBTQ activists. They want their gayborhood. Yes, I'm quoting them. They said that this is their space. It's a queer safe space, and they're claiming the space as a gayborhood. And they are against this plan for the new 76ers stadium, the Philadelphia 76ers stadium. And they said, hey, you know what? No, we don't want the stadium. We want this to remain our gayborhood. So they're very exclusive in the sense that they don't want to share the space with anybody else except drag queens and gay people. So let's take a listen to this. Here we go.
We are claiming space in the gayborhood. We do not want to be pushed out again.
Worry that the project's proximity to the gayborhood will create gentrification, make the area unaffordable, and take away queer and safe spaces.
An arena made by and for billionaires won't be economic catalyst for community and people that live here, but just serves to further enrich them in an attempt to further divide us.
Mayor Sherelle Parker struck a deal with the Sixers last week, officially announcing the proposal in a community meeting last night. But it's up to 1st District Council member Mark Squilla to introduce the legislation. And right now, he says he hasn't decided if he will.
There's challenges still that we see, but I think there's also opportunity. And I think we need to look at that for both the city as a whole and the surrounding communities that will be impacted by it.
Okay. So the project has obviously gotten pushback from the Chinatown residents, worried about businesses being negatively impacted and housing prices becoming unaffordable. Not everyone wants a huge stadium in their gayborhood, but they don't get to claim something as a queer space, okay? When these people demand the masses to affirm their deranged delusions that men can be women and women can be men, you don't get to claim that space, okay? It's not a queer space. This is an entire community. It's not a gayborhood. It's a neighborhood. Residents, businesses, drag performers, and allies of this gayborhood. I don't even know what a gayborhood is. What is that? What does that mean? But they all got together. These drag performers were in that clip there that you just heard. And they expressed their concerns and their worries about the proposed arena taking away safe queer spaces, whatever that is. And I don't know what makes a gayborhood. Are straight people allowed there? If not, I mean, this is segregation, and it's not okay. And these people are just so delusional. They're just so delusional, and it makes my head hurt sometimes just thinking about this. But this drag queen who performs at the clubs there in the gayborhood said, we're claiming this as a gayborhood. We do not want to be pushed out again. And then he claimed that I can't take you seriously when you're wearing a sparkly dress, you're a man, and you have a wig and you're screaming, okay? I really can't take anything you say seriously when you look like that. And I don't think that the stadium owners really care whether or not drag queens attend the events at that stadium. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that that these owners care much if you go to the stadium or not. Opponents are worried that the project's proximity to the gayborhood will create gentrification and make the area unaffordable and take away queer safe spaces. Look, no one wants to be pushed out by a lack of affordability. But our officials in that city no longer able to make communities better. Maybe the stadium will be better for that community. Maybe it will, create some a boost in the economy. Would they prefer the graffiti stay up there? The litter, the trash all over the streets? Do they want that in their gayborhood? Quote, this is another drag performer. The arena by and for billionaires won't be an economic catalyst for people who live there or live here. It just serves to further enrich them and in an attempt to further divide us. So look, I don't think the billionaires are camping out in the stadium. Okay, the arena by and for the billionaires. I will not. nobody's going to be living at the stadium. The point is that people come to the stadium for the games, and then they spend money at the local businesses, and it could serve as an economic catalyst. And I think that the owners would be happy with potential increased business. Okay, so and those business owners obviously aren't billionaires. Okay, they're business owners in that community, and increasing business is always a good thing. And look, I might be more understanding, like I said, of their cause. I probably wouldn't want a new stadium popping up in my neighborhood either. I really don't like the hustle. I don't like the extra people in my community. I'm one of those people. If I live rural, I grew up rural. I can't stand big cities, and I really probably wouldn't like a stadium coming up in my neighborhood. I wouldn't want that. And I'd be more understanding of their cause if they weren't exclusive. This is segregation. If you're saying and if you're claiming that this space is only for gay people, that's exclusive, and you're segregating straight people, and that's not cool. Especially when you are the people who pretend to be all inclusive. Okay, they want to exclude the majority of the population, and that's just not right. If they want people on their side, you probably shouldn't exclude people from doing business or living in this so-called gayborhood. And like I said, their spokespeople who get up on the microphone and talk about this arena protest that they're hosting, they're all in Disney princess dresses. They're in these huge wigs, makeup done out the wazoo, and they're men. I can't take you seriously when you parade around like a Disney princess. Even if you are whatever, queer questioning, even if you are a man and you think you're a woman, which is deranged, and I will never affirm that. Even if you have these beliefs, like there's no need for you to wear like a costume. Okay, if you have this belief that you are a woman, if you want people to take you seriously, then look like a woman and not a Bratz doll. Okay, I don't know how hard that is, but I don't know. This is just weird. All right, I got to take a quick break, but when we come back, I got to tell you about Rosa DeLauro. So she is a member of Congress. She has purple hair, and she wants to be accepted by the younger generation. So she comes up with all of these stereotypical slang terms, and she, posts a video that's super cringeworthy and makes my skin really crawl. So I'm going to be back with that. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9.
multiple gunshots. The officers responded quickly to the nearby Marina block of North University, where they found two individuals suffering from gunshot wounds. Both victims were transported to local hospitals, where one was later pronounced dead. When you head to the polls, a question on the ballot asks whether the state should raise the income tax to bring down the property taxes. The non-binding referendum question asks voters if they want to amend the Illinois Constitution to raise taxes 3% on incomes over $1 million and use the money for property tax relief. Towns and cities across central Illinois are getting ready for the centennial celebration of Route 66 in 2026. McLean County Route 66 Centennial Commission says the group is coordinating grants and various projects with other towns along the Mother Road, including Chenoa, Lexington, Kewanee, Normal, Bloomington, and McLean. News on the air from the web on your app and on Alexa. I'm Tom Davis. Here's the Bloomington Normal forecast on Cities 92.9. A little bit of patchy fog and drizzle this morning. That will move off and partly sunny. The high today near 80. Partly cloudy tonight. Overnight low 60. Mostly sunny on Tuesday with a high of 71. Wednesday sunny, high 72. This weather report is lifted by DHP's Garage Doors, residential and commercial garage doors and entry doors since 1926. Schedule service at dhpacegaragedoors.com. Cities 92.9 sports. Breaking sports this morning, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch is reporting that the Cardinals will keep GM John Mozeliak and manager Ali Marlowe for 2025 while going in a quote different direction. As we assume they will name a new head of baseball operations later today, we shall see. Cardinals did end the year with a win, 6-1 over San Francisco. Cubs lost 3-0 and 10 to Cincinnati, and the White Sox did get the record 121, but that's it. They finished at 41 and 121 after beating Detroit 9-5. Football, Bears beat the LA Rams 23-18 with Caleb Williams thriving in a much more balanced attack. And Sunday Night Football went to Baltimore over Buffalo 35-10. I'm Chris Murphy, Cities 92.9 Sports.
At Jackson Accounting Plus, they're rock stars, but instead of microphones and guitars, they use spreadsheets. Focus on growing your business and servicing your customers.
Good morning. Hey, it's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. I wanted to bring this story up. Obviously, I heard it in the news. An Illinois State University graduate student said in the aftermath of this deadly shooting near their apartment building that, quote, this is the first time he didn't feel safe. His name's Matt, and he's been on campus for 5 years. And he said that the shooting obviously made him feel uneasy. There was hordes of people. I don't know what happened where this social gathering, this party, it was like a pop-up party people are describing, and it's that this happens a lot where it's coordinated on social media, where a lot of people go to one location, and that's like some sort of crazy party. And I got the text messages, ISU alerts, late one day, and I still get them. I'm a graduate of Illinois State University. You guys know that. It's tragic, so sad. It was a deadly shooting. Make America safe again. I don't know what to say. In 5 years, you haven't felt this way. You've got graduate students on campus saying, I've never felt this unsafe on campus before. There's a reason for that. It's because the dark gets darker, the light gets lighter. There's, I believe, a spiritual reason as to why we're starting to see more and more people succumb to the evils of this world, where somebody feels like they have to take a gun to a party and shoot people. The dark gets darker. And like I said, our problem is not with the flesh, with people. It's with the spirits of this world. I think that naturally people are going to get lighter and lighter. And hopefully, as you get lighter and you start to realize how dark the world really is and how dark this nation is getting, you realize who is going to help that and who's going to harm that when you go to the ballot box. Okay, so if you haven't felt safe on campus, this is the most unsafe you've felt on campus, I fully expect you to vote accordingly. All right, I'm going to be right back. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. We are also going to get to Aldi forcing to have to pay this guy who sexually assaulted somebody and they had to pay this fired Muslim employee after this sexual assault conviction. So we're going to get to that story here on Conservative Cat. It's an explosive story. So it comes from Colorado, but praying for all those involved. Stay safe. Don't go to parties. It's too dangerous in the world to go to parties like this right now. So if you're a college student and you're listening, just don't go. Stay home and get your homework done and put your head down and do what's right for you and your family and your future family, and build a business. You don't need to drink anyway. Okay. You don't need to drink. You don't need to party anyway. Stay home and stay safe. That is my advice to anybody who goes to school there. You don't want to go somewhere if people are telling you to go on social media. Just avoid it at all costs. All right, I'll be back at the top of the hour. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Hey, good morning. I'm not one of those people who say, I told you so, but you've got these graduate students, and I don't know what their political affiliation is like, but, you got to vote accordingly. When you say things like, I haven't felt this unsafe on campus in 5 years, I've been on campus for 5 years, I've never felt this unsafe, there's probably a reason why. And likely, it can change. If you vote accordingly, vote for law and order, vote for people who are anti illegal immigration, vote for people who want to see criminals locked up, vote for people who don't advocate for things like the Safety Act and ending cash bail, which was the worst thing that you could. I mean, our prison populations have decreased significantly. I mean, there's no prisoners in these prisons anymore, in Illinois prisons, so it shouldn't shock us that things like this happen. As I said, my advice to college students everywhere, not just on Illinois State University's campus, avoid situations, avoid putting yourself in situations like going to a party that gets out of hand and is a pop-up party and there's people there that you don't know. If you have to gather with people in a safe space like your apartment, allow it to only be up to 10 people. Once you get outside of 10 people, then you start to run the risk of people of it getting out of hand. Limit your parties to 10 people. There are steps. Act like an adult. There are steps to take to avoid putting yourself in situations like that. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really attend parties at all. I had a lot of get-togethers at my place when I went to Illinois State University, and yeah, sure, drank a little bit, but never to a point where it got out of hand. And I feel for these kids in college settings because when you're in college and you're at that age, you're wanting to branch out and meet new people. And unfortunately, we live in a world and in a nation where that's not possible. You don't know who is coming across that border. You don't know what kind of people have been let out of the Department of Corrections. And unfortunately, you could be putting yourself in a dangerous situation if you meet strangers or meet up with people you don't know. Gabriel Calixto. Let me look up this story. This is one of those stories that just was never reported by the mainstream. We did some reporting on it. He was a murder suspect. He's on the run. I still don't know. Nobody's gotten back to me about Gabriel Calixto and if he's been found. But Gabriel Calixto, he was 25 years old. He had, he was wanted in connection with the death of Emma Schaefer. Calixto, he was on the DACA program at the age of 15. It expired, obviously, in May of 2019. According to 2021 court documents, despite working as a community advocate, right? He was no stranger to run-ins with the law. He attended college and maintained employment. I'm not too sure where he went to college. Obviously, he went to college here in the state of Illinois. Might have been Illinois State. I gotta double check on that, but he is on the run. He stabbed this young girl, Springfield. It might have been Illinois University or University of Illinois, one of the two. But he went to college. He maintained employment. Seemingly, this guy is totally cool. Okay, totally cool guy. Emma Schaefer. This is his former girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, I guess. He killed her. He's wanted in connection with this death. I don't know if they've ever found him, but prior to him getting this DACA, or he got the DACA program, but he was also in 2018 reported to have obsessive and threatening behavior, and this was directed towards a former girlfriend, not Emma Schaefer, but somebody else, and that resulted in criminal charges in 2018. So he's here on the DACA program. Okay, he commits a crime, kidnapping. Okay, he pled to kidnapping, was sentenced to the Illinois Department of Corrections for 6 years. He got out early, and these are the types of people that could be on your campus. That's what my point is here, because unfortunately we have Governor J.B. Pritzker, we have Kamala Harris, we have Joe Biden, we have way too many people. In fact, we have Dick Durbin, who took a picture with this murder suspect and is seen smiling with this murder suspect. Okay, so let me share it with you. Here it is. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, there's Dick Durbin and Gabriel Calixto. This is the murder suspect who's on the run. Still don't know. Nobody will tell me if they've captured him. Everybody thinks that he fled back to Mexico. We don't even know if he's answered to the crimes of Emma Schaefer. He had priors, criminal charges in 2018. His DACA was supposed to expire in 2019, so he was still on DACA when he committed this crime of kidnapping. He was sentenced to 6 years in the IDOC. His kidnapping conviction was vacated. He pled guilty to a lesser charge of unlawful restraint. So originally convicted and sentenced to 6 years for kidnapping. Okay. Then he pled guilty to a lesser charge after a couple of years in his sentence, and he was released just 2 years into his sentence, so October of 2020. We let him go, and then he winds up murdering Emma Schaefer. Okay, so these are the types of people that could be potentially on your campus. So stay safe, understand what state you live in. And unfortunately, you have leaders who take pictures with convicted kidnappers and suspected murderers. Hey, good morning. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every single day. Before we get into, the show just kind of takes a shape of its own, I guess, sometimes. And I've got a text. A lot of you are really concerned about that shooting on Illinois State University's campus. Before I took the break, I said, hey, I used to be a student. I didn't attend parties with people I didn't know. I avoided situations like that. And unfortunately, we live in a nation, we live in a state that does not protect you. Okay, so you have to protect yourself. Avoid situations where you're meeting with people that you don't know. Okay, keep your parties limited to 10 people. If you've got to have parties, maybe just start a business and avoid parties altogether. Do what Donald Trump says. Don't drink, don't smoke, build a business, right? That's what Donald Trump says to do. Stay out of that scene because then you could potentially become a billionaire, right? I mean, that's what he did. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, never has. And that's what he attributes to his success and his money. He says, look, I never drank, never smoked. And I was able to build the Trump empire, really, where he's got all these hotels. So start a business, avoid parties. That's my advice to any college student out there. An Illinois State University graduate student said in the aftermath of this deadly shooting near this apartment building, this is the first time I don't feel safe. And he's been on campus for 5 years, and there's a reason for that, graduate student, and I hope that you vote accordingly. I was telling you folks about Gabriel Calixto. The story just reminds me of Gabriel Calixto. And you have no idea what kind of people are being released from prison. You have no idea what kind of people are coming over the border. I have no idea who is the suspect in this shooting. I'm not saying that this person was an illegal immigrant of any kind. I'm not saying that this person had priors who conducted the deadly shooting. We don't know. We have no idea. And that's kind of the problem, is that we have things like the Safety Act. We have things like an open border. And, this story reminds me of Gabriel Calixto. Now, a lot of mainstream people talk about it, but you've got Dick Durbin captured. There's a photo of him with Gabriel Calixto. Gabriel Calixto was a 25-year-old, and he's wanted in connection with the death of Emma Schaefer. I've looked and looked and looked. I don't even think that they caught this guy. I think he fled back to Mexico, but he was on the DACA program, and it expired in May of 2019. Despite working as a community advocate, right? He was no stranger to run-ins with the law. He appeared great on the surface. Gabriel Calixto, he was, maintaining employment, going to college. But in 2017, while on the DACA program, so he was supposed to be on this DACA program until 2019, in late 2017, he started to struggle with mental health issues, attempted suicide, and then eventually in 2018, there were criminal charges against him for kidnapping. So apparently he kidnapped his girlfriend at the time, his former girlfriend, not Emma Schaefer, who he's accused of killing. But this was back in 2018. He pled to kidnapping and was sentenced to 6 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections. But 2 years into his sentence, his kidnapping conviction was vacated. He pled guilty to a lesser charge of unlawful restraint. He was resentenced to time served, and he was released in 2020. And the rest is, history, where we have him getting out after kidnapping one girl out of the Illinois Department of Corrections. You have Governor J.B. Pritzker to thank for that. Okay, he is in charge of these government agencies, the IDOC. There's directors of these agencies, and they should be ensuring that things like this don't happen. Gabriel Calixto, long story short, he got out of prison when he should have been serving a 6-year sentence. I mean, he was on the DACA program. He should have been deported right away. You kidnap a girl, you get deported, okay? You don't get to stay in our correctional facility. We send you back to Mexico, where you get to serve out your time there, okay? But he pled to a lesser charge, got out after 2 years for kidnapping a girl. I mean, this girl was kidnapped, unlawful restraint. He pled it down. I just don't even see how this is possible. But he was resentenced, and then he turns around and he murders. He escalates. You see, he escalated and he killed the girl the next time. So we live in a state, we live in a nation where people like Dick Durbin take pictures with murder suspects. He took a picture with this guy, Dick Durbin. Okay, I mean, I don't know how much clearer I can be. Your officials don't give a damn about your safety, whether that be at the state level, local level, national level. I'm sorry, but if they've got a D next to their name, they don't care about your safety. They could care less about your safety. So it's time for you to take action. And it's time for you to take responsibility, college student, and protect yourself. Okay? Keep your parties light. Don't go out. I hate to say that, but that's where we live. That's the nation we live in. And if you want to change it, you know how. I'm sick of these, students, graduate students. They're all these social activists, and they say, oh, yeah, Dick Durbin, I'll vote for him over and over and over again. Okay, well, he's taking pictures with murder suspects. Okay, taking photographs with guys who kidnap little girls. I mean, you got to be kidding me with this. Stop voting for him. You want your campus safe? Okay, vote for the people who are pro-law and order and anti-Safety Act and anti-illegal immigration. I mean, I don't know how much simpler I could I could get with that. I'm upset. I am upset. I don't get upset on the show very often, but you're contributing to your own demise if you keep voting for Democrats. I'm sorry. What happened on ISU's campus should have never happened. These officials are rabid, they're psychotic, and they take pictures with murder suspects. Okay, they don't care about your safety. And it's time that you start caring about your safety and going to that ballot box and making the decision that will provide you safety on campus so you don't have to feel unsafe on campus. All right, I got to get to this story. Let me relax a second. All right. Rosa DeLauro. Okay, she's a member of Congress. She's got purple hair. She's one of probably the most cringeworthy people I've ever met or seen online, and that's saying something. Okay, there's a lot of videos online. This is an out-of-touch woman, and she desperately wants to be accepted by the younger generation. So she does this very stereotypical video that ends up it looks like she's mocking Gen Zers. Okay, so Rosa DeLauro, she's a member of Congress, and she just proved that America has a mental health crisis because there's no logical reason a sane person would vote for this there's no reason why somebody should be voting for this person. No sane person would elect her. So we are in a mental health crisis because obviously we've got people voting for this woman. Let me pull up the clip here. She does all these hip catchphrases. So I'm not caught up with the lingo, obviously, for Gen Z. I am Gen Z. I'm not caught up with the lingo. I try to avoid, internet lingo as much as possible, just because I feel like it ruins my IQ. But she's trying to be hip with all of these catchphrases. And I don't keep up with the lingo, but I'm sure that this woman does not know all the hip catchphrases, and she's really she probably comes from the generation who thinks that saying groovy is cool. Oh, that's groovy. She's probably from that generation. But let's take a listen to this clip. Here we go.
On appropriations, serving Connecticut's 3rd District. It's time to enter your dark academia Congress era. All right, besties, House appropriation is the money moves in Congress. We are not chasing the bag, we are the bag. Democrats are making life smoother through government funding. It's giving, it's giving. So Sigma, main character energy. But Republicans' Project 2025 is mad sus. Eliminating the Department of Education? Negative aura points. Basically, the biggest phantom tax on the environment, on your education, and your rights. Big L posting it online, buddy. Democrats understood the assignment, but go off. See how I keep you informed? Very cutesy, very demure. Yo.
Very weird. Okay, cutesy, demure. This comes from a TikTok. It's something that Gen Zers say now. It was actually some sort of transgender individual out of Illinois who did this TikTok, and he goes, see how I go to work and I don't have a green cut crease, which is like makeup. Very cutesy, very demure, very modest, which it blew up because people were making fun of him. He's obviously a transgender individual, so you're not modest when you're trans. I'm sorry, but you're probably the least modest person if you're identifying as a woman and you've got big fake boobs and hair that looks like a Brad Stoll's hair and makeup done up like a Brad Stoll. You know what I mean? Like, you're probably the least modest person because your identity is your sexuality. Like, that is what your identity is. You identify as a transgender, and it's your whole persona. What you look like on the outside and present yourself to the world is your whole identity. That's what I've found with transgender individuals. So this guy was not being very demure or cutesy or mindful or modest, okay? But he was lecturing women in the workplace about how they need to be more modest in the workplace. Yeah, down with the patriarchy, a man telling a woman how to present herself at work. So great. This is just very objectively cringe. This woman, She says, we're not chasing the bag. We are the bag. Republicans Project 2025 is mad sus. So the bag, I don't know if that's like money, I think. So she's obviously using some Gen Z catchphrases, but she's not using them correctly. Her behavior is mad sus. Okay. These things are not a joke. Can government officials just act normal? This benefits no one. And I'm sure that this woman rewatched this several times and was like laughing on her phone at herself and like thought that this was genius. It's not genius. It's weird. And it's really cringy and it makes my skin crawl. But obviously she has way too much time on her hands. As a government official, we should probably cut this position, whatever she holds. She's a congresswoman from Connecticut. I think that we just need to cut this entire position out because she's obviously bored. She's got nothing to do, and that's why she makes weird videos like this. So she needs to be terminated immediately. It's not even funny. It's just cringe. It's immature. And it honestly makes her look stupid, right? I mean, the fact that these people are running the country. She's an elected congresswoman. She's got purple hair here. She says, Democrats are making life smoother. I rewatched this video. So she says Democrats are making life smoother by government funding, by using government funding, which is like very funny. I don't know what exactly that means. I mean, I don't know. The Inflation Reduction Act, all this money over to Ukraine, $152 billion earmarked for Ukraine, government funding. I don't know who life is smoother for, but my life has not been smoother since is not smoother since Kamala Harris and Joe Biden took office. Okay, I don't know what she's talking about smoother, but people who want smoother life, they're not going to be fooled by this video. Okay, so it should be illegal to be this cringe and serve America, but it's not, and she's serving America. One more time, I want to play a little bit more.
Mad sus. Eliminating the Department of Education, negative aura points. Basically, the biggest phantom tax on the environment, on your education, and your rights. Big L posting it online, buddy. Democrats understood the assignment, but go off.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry I did that to you, but I had to show you this really cringy video of a congresswoman, a sitting congresswoman. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but I do want to get to this story about Aldi. They were forced to pay this fired Muslim employee who was convicted of sexual assault, and they were forced to pay, I think it was like 5,000 euros. So this happened, oh gosh, where was it? It happened in Europe somewhere. Ireland. Here we go. A supermarket chain in Ireland. This happened in Ireland, and it was 5,000 euros to a former Muslim employee after courts deemed he was unfairly dismissed for his sexual assault conviction. So Aldi was forced to pay this guy, and they said that, he was wrongfully terminated because Aldi shouldn't have terminated him due to his conviction. So I'm going to be right back with that story here next on Conservative Cat, Cities 92.9. Hey, good morning. If you're watching, go ahead, smash that like button and Let me know what you think about that ISU shooting. Do you feel safer now than you did 4 years ago? Just curious. Do you feel safe when you go out? Do you feel like you could host a big party and, a party with people you don't know and feel safe? I don't think so. I don't think you feel safer than you did 4 years ago. And that's not me saying it. There's graduate students that have been on campus for 5+ years and they're saying, hey, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe on campus anymore. Which is no surprise because obviously you don't know what's going on at the border. You have no idea who's coming over the border. I have no idea who the suspect is in this ISU shooting. I'll try to find that information out if they have a suspect. From the last I saw, that there was no suspect as of right now. But let me check for updates on this. Police arrived to try to break up the crowd, but the group resisted and did not disperse. At some point, shooting started. Normal Mayor Chris Coos was at the scene of Sunday's deadly shooting. He spoke to reporters and said pop-ups like this are the problem. Pop-up parties like this are the problem. Oh my. I don't know who the suspect is, but I hope that we get this because I'm telling you right now, I'm willing to bet that this person had priors or at least was a bad egg. I'll tell you right now, pop-up parties is not like this. You should be able to have parties like this, pop-up parties or parties with a ton of people, and problems like this are because of government and because it's okay for the Safety Act and hardened criminals to be released. 2 people were injured after the shooting near Illinois State University campus. Responded to the shooting. 2 people transported to a local hospital with gunshot wounds. More than 1,000 people. Gosh, it's just so traumatic. That's just so sad. People shouldn't die going to parties. Our investigation into this incident is active and further information will be released. I'm very interested about the suspect if they ever catch this guy. However, people with guns, likely, I mean, 9 times out of 10, if somebody comes to a party with a gun, likely it's some sort of delinquent who has priors or is a bad egg. So I'd be curious who the suspect is, but I'll tell you right now, parties aren't the problem, right? It's the government that's the problem. It's the people in charge of protecting the safety of Americans and protecting the safety of the Illinois State University campus. And I'm not going after law enforcement. Obviously, they responded to this, but there's only so much you can do when you let a bunch of bad people out onto the street. Okay. I think there's also a spiritual issue where the dark gets darker, the light gets lighter as time goes on. And this is prophecy. The dark is just going to continue to get dark, and it's going to get darker and darker where people just show up and start shooting people for no reason. Right? They just bring guns to parties and they plan on killing people. So, yeah, it's just tragic, sad, and for Mayor Coos to blame it on parties is very disingenuous. Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every single day. We are going to get to this story. A supermarket chain in Ireland must fork over 5,000 euros to a former Muslim employee after the courts deemed he was unfairly dismissed for his sexual assault conviction. Yes, we're going to get to that story quickly. I don't see any information about a possible suspect in this shooting, the ISU shooting. That is under investigation. I'm sure we're going to get more information, but it was a deadly shooting, 1 dead, 1 critical after an early morning shooting in Normal. That was an update. it's sad. It's very sad. And you've got the mayor out there responding to reporters at the scene, saying that these pop-up parties are the problem. I don't think so. I get it. This was a large party. It was insane. And obviously there was some sort of probably social media coordination to get a lot of people into one area. I think the problem is you've got people out there who are willing to gun down people for no reason. The Safety Act probably, I don't know if this person had priors. I don't know if they're even going to catch the guy who popped off a bunch of shots and hurt people with gun. You've got criminals. Criminals are the problem. Okay, and not being tough on crime. Criminals feeling emboldened to where they get to take a gun to a party of thousands and just fire it off. Okay, this is the problem, is criminals are the problem. I'm not saying that parties of 1,000+ people is, a good thing or a normal thing. But I think the main problem here is that you've got criminals walking around. And it'll be interesting to find out who this suspect is. As I told you before, I brought that story, Gabriel Calixto. There hasn't been a whole lot of mainstream reporting on it, but he also attended college, maintained employment, seemed like a upstanding citizen. He did a lot of community advocacy work, things like that. But little did we know he was here on DACA, and he had kidnapped a girl, was released from the Illinois Department of Corrections, and then later murdered a different girl. So, you've got people running around who shouldn't be here, or you've got criminals running around who should be in prison. And you've got people, even not if they're not criminals, you've just got people who are bad people, bad eggs, feeling emboldened because of the current politics in the state of Illinois. They know if they shoot somebody, they probably won't go to prison, that they'll be released. That's how bad our justice are. And it's not I want to be very clear. It's not the cops. It's not the, people who are actually policing the streets. It's the people who voted for things like the Safety Act. It's the people who are against cash bail. Those are the people who are making, really, it's just carnage. Chicago. It shouldn't surprise anybody that shootings in Chicago happen all of the time. I think the last time I checked the numbers, it was like, in August, I checked the numbers and it was like, 2,000 people shot, something like that from January to August of this year. That's insane. That's insane. That's a war zone. So there's just so much in Illinois. And I think really it's not the parties that are the problem. I think it's the progressive politics that are the problem. All right, the supermarket chain in Ireland they have to pay this guy, a former Muslim employee, after courts deemed he was unfairly dismissed for his sexual assault conviction. So it's unclear if the sexual assault perpetrators are automatically put into a protected class, but if the shoe fits, then it fits. This guy, he's in a protected class. If you get paid after you sexually assault someone, you're protected. And this is my issue. We need to make crime illegal. We need to be tough on crime, lock people up if they do wrong, fire people who have a history of sexually assaulting their fellow colleagues. Now, this happened obviously in Ireland, but it happens here in the United States all of the time. Supermarket chain Aldi has been forced to pay $5,000 to Mohammed Kashif for unfairly dismissing him after they found out he had been convicted of sexually assaulting a former colleague. So in May of 2022, Mohammed sexually assaulted a mother of two. Her name is Donna O'Loughlin. It was her first day on the job at this shop. Now, this was a second job of his, okay? So he sexually assaulted a colleague at a different location other than Aldi. So he worked at Aldi, and then also this chip shop is what they called it in this article, according to Publica. So over the course of 3 hours, Mohammed slid his hand over her buttocks and then slapped her butt quite firmly, then asked her for kisses and then for sex, grabbed her, genitals, rubbed himself against her. I mean, this is sexual assault, right? Detective Elaine O'Keefe at his sentencing hearing described the sexual assault that took place in 2022. Call me crazy, but this seems like a fireable offense, right? Since he's a liability. So he did this at a different job. Okay, now he has another job at Aldi, but if you have a convicted of sexual assault employee in your business, of course he's going to be a liability, and sexual assault is considered a crime. So following his conviction, Muhammad at his second job, Aldi, reportedly informed his store manager, who allegedly adopted a supportive role and failed to inform more senior staff. Okay, so at his second job, Muhammad did inform the manager, or like the store manager, that he had this sexual assault conviction and yada yada. And the manager was like, okay, I'm gonna be supportive. I'm gonna have this supportive role, and I'm not going to fire you. And I'm not going to let you go. However, when senior staff got a hold of this information that he was a sexual assault convict, they were very unhappy. Obviously, he's a liability. And in 2023, he was dismissed. So Muhammad was dismissed, with Aldi citing concerns for the safety of other female staff. So female staff, they were concerned. Senior staff, they were concerned that he was going to be a problem. So the Workplace Relations Commission Adjudication Officer, Patsy Doyle, awarded a payment of 5,000 euros to Muhammad, the equivalent of 2 months' gross pay, finding that he was unfairly dismissed. Why does it seem as if women are always the ones who suffer from the most progressive ideology? I'm just going to be honest with you. It seems like women suffer the most under progressive ideology. Why are the rights of perverts more valid than protecting women in the workplace? Okay, so we're no longer fighting the patriarchy, clearly. And I don't understand progressives. They said they sympathized with this guy, and they said, we're going to take supportive roles, and we're going to give him money. He sexually assaults a woman, but we're going to give him money. Okay. So Doyle, this a Workplace Relations Commission Adjudication Officer, this officer, Patsy Doyle, argued that there was no sufficient connection between the crime committed and the employee's work in such a way that would render the employee unsuitable or capable of damaging the employer's reputation. Okay, look. He sexually assaulted a colleague of his at his other location, his other job. I mean, of course, that there's a connection. Okay, he works with women at this Aldi. If he treats the women at Aldi like he did at the woman at this other job of his, of course, there's a connection to be made there. She claimed that Aldi had no regard to Muhammad's unblemished record. Oh my. I can't stand. What a load of nonsense. He doesn't have an unblemished record. He sexually assaulted a woman at the other job of his, okay? I don't care what happened prior to that. At that point, he had a record of sexually assaulting women in the workplace. A criminal record is something employers should be able to take into consideration. That's why a lot of job applications ask if you're a felon. That is totally all right for employers to do. Especially considering they're the ones liable if anything goes wrong, okay? If there's a sexual assault at that Aldi, then they're going to have to pay out, to this woman who underwent sexual assault in the workplace, when it's Aldi's job to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't go on. So additionally, it's morally unjustifiable that this man was awarded a settlement for sexually assaulting an innocent mother. She was a mother of two, sexually assaulted this woman, and he gets the cash? I don't understand it. The fact that these people do everything in their power to protect the worst people in society is extremely telling. And that's why we see shootings. That's why we see crime in the state of Illinois. It's because leftists do everything in their power to protect the worst people of society. And even if a crime at one job should not affect the other, which it should, even if they think it shouldn't. Why can't they make an exception for psychos who sexually assault women? This is the worst crime ever, okay? I mean, this is deplorable. It's one of the worst crimes someone can commit, and it's deeply concerning that they took the side, the officials took the side of the guy who committed sexual assault. Like, if he, I don't know, what's a crime? It stole. If he stole out of the register at this second job of his, and, you know, of course they should be able to look at this at the other job as well and take that into consideration, this employer at Aldi, if they were to, if he were to have stole. Okay, maybe, you know, then it wouldn't be justified, you know, and that crime at that job shouldn't affect the other crime or affect his job at this job, or his employment at this job. But we're talking about sexual assault here. This guy is, I mean, this is weird and psychotic. You sexually assault women. So while the left pretends to be care about fighting the invisible patriarchy, right? They're always saying, "Oh, fight the patriarchy." They're creating the worst kinds of people. They're the ones. They're creating these fake activists. They're behind standing up and being sympathetic for the worst people in society, and they pretend to be compassionate, but yet they are on the side that slap women in the face everywhere. They're on that side, and they're totally cool with this guy sexually assaulting this woman. All right, I got to take a quick break, but when we come back, Dean of Students, he was fired for calling America the greatest country ever when it was supposed to, you know, he was going through DEI training. And he said this, and then he was fired for saying this. So I'm going to be right back. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. I'll be right back. Hey, good morning. Go ahead, smash that like button if you're watching. We'll be right back. Woo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every single morning. You know, I'm looking through all of these comments from ISU students saying that they don't feel safe. Quote, I feel terrified, unsafe to be walking about. And to be honest, it took a lot for me to even get out of my room today because I feel like we could get shot. You know, a lot of people are saying we have to. This is an amazing quote out of a quote where they say, you know, we should organize. We shouldn't have to fear walking around on our campus, going to our classes, even if there aren't supposed to be what's called pop-up parties. We shouldn't have to go fear going to parties. Okay, so this is going to be the narrative, and I'm already starting to see, oh, pop-up parties are a problem. No. Okay. No. There have been plenty of large parties. Now, this one was extraordinary. This was an extraordinarily large party, thousands of people. However, you know, I remember being on campus when the Nelk boys came and there wasn't a shooting. Okay. That was a couple of years ago and the Nelk boys were there. And I remember Governor J.B. Pritzker was so upset because of the COVID guidelines and regulations that were being violated because all these students were gathering to see the Nelk boys on campus. And they were like, oh, how could they? They're social distancing, vaccines, You know, I remember this, and Governor J.B. Pritzker addressed it while on campus. I don't remember a shooting taking place. There were thousands upon thousands of kids trying to see the Nelk boys because they're very popular on social media. You know, and you have graduate students who have been there for 5 years saying that they've never felt this unsafe on campus. Okay, there have been plenty of large parties that have gotten out of hand, but a lot of students haven't felt fear in going and walking about. You know, obviously, there's something going on. And students are starting to say, we need to start campaigning. We need to start a campaign to where, you know, officials understand that we don't feel safe. They're starting to realize, and this is where I think it's going to be college campuses. I think that it's going to start with our youth, the Generation Z, where they start to say, enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of feeling unsafe. I'm sick and tired of the Safety Act, no cash bail. I'm sick and tired of Illinois' prisons being empty. We need to fill the prisons up, and we're done feeling unsafe. We need to, and I don't know what kind of suspect, if they ever get a suspect, the normal police department, but I'm willing to bet that this person is probably a delinquent, a bad egg, right? If they bring a gun to a party, I'm willing to bet that they're a bad egg and that they should have been in prison probably a long time ago. That's a lot of the time the cases with these shootings. You come to find out that they even have priors a lot of the time. So I don't know anything about the suspect. However, it's not the pop-up parties that are the problem. Having parties, there have been plenty of large gatherings. That was just a few years ago. Well, Donald Trump, I think, was still in office. And we didn't have things like the Safety Act. We didn't have, we were starting to see this open border crisis. Right before that open border crisis started to happen, the Nelk boys came because Trump was still in office. And as soon as Trump left, then we had this border crisis. So the border crisis, the Safety Act, pro-criminal laws, all of that contributes to shootings like this. Okay, we need to be tough on crime. Okay, Dean of Students fired for calling America the greatest country. He went against his DEI training. If America is not the greatest country in the world, why is everybody and their grandmas trying to get here? Illegal immigration, right? Why should we be take on the world's burden if this is such an awful place? That's what I've never understood about this leftist logic where they say America's the worst place ever. Oh, but it's America's burden to take on the problems of the world. Why? Because America has this obligation. Okay, but you you just said America's the worst. So which is it? Which one is it? Is America? And if America is not the best, which country is the best? Okay, so I think America is the best country. I have factual evidence for that. But this dean of students also agrees with me. And he said that it was the greatest country And whew, you shouldn't mention that because you'll get fired. So he talked about this during his DEI training. And he was the dean of students for a Colorado school district. Patrick Haggerty did not get the memo that he's not supposed to say that, especially during DEI training. And, his First Amendment rights were violated here. So we're going to get to this story here on the other side. I got to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Good morning. Hey, I so do appreciate it. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about this one, right? So I was telling students on air about how they can combat crime, take matters into your own hands. I'm not saying vigilantism. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying take responsibility, avoid situations where you go out to big parties like this, stay home. It shouldn't be this way, but it is. Okay, it shouldn't be this way, but it is because of your public officials and your elected officials and the politicians who make decisions like enacting things like the Safety Act and taking away your gun rights. Okay. People know in the state of Illinois, criminals know in the state of Illinois, likely you don't have a gun because it's so hard to obtain a gun here. It's so hard to have a concealed carry. It's very anti-Second Amendment. And the likelihood that you're carrying a gun in the state of Illinois is very small. If we were to normalize your Second Amendment right here in the state of Illinois, criminals would probably think twice about shooting people or opening fire on a group of people if those criminals thought that other people might have a gun and take them down. Okay, so it's everybody's responsibility to conceal carry. Criminals will think twice. Yeah, unfortunately, we live in a state where they have demonized your Second Amendment rights, and that contributes to the rampant crime we're seeing because criminals are aware that they will be able to carry guns, they're illegal guns, and fire off rounds illegally. And they know that they'll get away with it because nobody's going to stop them with a legal gun that they're carrying. So, great point, Brian. Great point. We've got so much to get to. I do want to get to this dean of students when we come back in just a minute. But let me know if you live in the area and if you were affected by the shooting. I would love to speak with you. You can always send your tips to 309-451-9299. Loving America is as much as protected right as hating it is. Okay, so you have the right to hate America, but you also have the right to love America. Compelled speech and censorship is not protected. You do not get to do that to people, which is why America First Legal has filed a lawsuit on behalf of Patrick Haggerty for violating. The school has violated his God-given freedoms to say how much he loves America. Okay, these were his First Amendment rights, and he was in a DEI training, and apparently this went against the standard. Now, of course, they're saying that that's not the reason why he was fired. So during 2024 training, Patrick reportedly responded to a question about his experience while living while being a white U.S. citizen by saying he identifies as an American who believes the U.S. is the greatest country in the world. His answer was allegedly reported to the school principal. Cherry Creek's equity director, who accused the dean of racist undertones. Okay, so this is per the America First legal complaint. Okay, the fact that these people are in charge of education is deeply concerning. You've got people in charge of education who, even toddlers understand that America is the greatest country on earth. This is a non-issue. Okay, we all know that America is the greatest country on earth because people and their grandmas are coming over the border to just try to get a glimpse of America, really. So additionally, how can this be racist if Americans are not a race? That's what I don't understand. I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat. They're saying it's budgetary concerns. The school, okay, so this dean of students, his name is Patrick Haggerty, the America First Legal, they have filed a lawsuit because his First Amendment rights were violated because He said that America is the greatest country on earth while he was in some DEI training. Okay, so this lawsuit said that he was asked a question during his DEI training how he feels about his experience being a white U.S. citizen. And he says that he identifies as American who believes the U.S. is the greatest country in the world. And the executive or the equity director performing this DEI training said that that was racist. It had racist undertones. It's so concerning that these people are in charge of education. It's deeply concerning because toddlers, kids understand that America is the greatest country in the world. And if you don't believe me, just look at the southern border. Everybody wants to be here, okay? So they said that it was because of budgetary reasons why they eliminated his position. They placed him on administrative leave for unprofessional conduct. So they've been going after this guy. So now he said enough is enough. America First senior advisor, they released a press release announcing that they were waging a lawsuit against this school. It's in Colorado. It's the Cherry Creek School District. Blatantly violated his First Amendment rights, and they terminated him because of his pride for the United States. Wow. So this is an explosive story. Good for him. Good for him. The lawyer even goes on the America First Legal. They said they're truly trying to replace the Bill of Rights with a DEI manifesto. Yeah. Yep. These are wannabe tyrants. They violated his First Amendment rights. You should be able to, as much as you say that you hate America, I should be able to say I love America and not be fired for it. All right. You guys have a blessed day. Bye-bye. Love you. We'll do it all over again tomorrow morning. Stay safe out there. Stay safe. There's shootings going on. There's crime rampant in Illinois, and we can do something about it come November. Just keep that in mind. Have a blessed day. Text me 309-451-9299 with your tips. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning.